We're just great. Okay, so good morning, everyone. So just to be clear, while this is a meeting of the steering committee of the Vermont Climate Council, we have two of our steering committee meeting members here. So we're not like officially in decision-making mode here. We're just in conversational, informal mode this morning, unless Kelly shows up, and then we'll have the ability to sort of act and have quorum and all that good stuff. Even in this non-decisional space, non-quorum space, I think it's helpful to put some things on the table and just have an informal discussion. We do have an agenda for today, and it's online, and I'll drop it here in the chat, unless Liz beats me to it. Boom. Very similar timing. Nice. And so really the things we wanted to do, if we were to have had quorum today, what we're going to do is primarily spend the time on thinking about what needs to be in our March council agenda, which is 2 weeks away. And then there's some just formalities about um, subcommittee members. And then Joey, we wanted to hear about the update on Chris Campany taking over Liz's seat on the steering committee, and if that's the case, and what's the story there. So that was what our official agenda was, and doing some public comment as we typically would do. Um, I think it's worth us having an informal conversation about the March meeting, because to be, I think Liz and Jane and I are scratching our heads a little bit about the best use of time for the council, and we would love to just broaden that conversation out to you all. So if you all are up for it, I'd just love an informal conversation how you think it'd be a wise use of time of the council on the 16th. I'll also preface that to say we have, excuse me, 2 hours blocked out for that meeting. Depending on what we come up with, we may shorten that up a little bit if we don't have 2 hours worth of work to do together. Um, okay, so in this informal, non-decisional space, Joey or Secretary Moore, any thoughts about like what you would like to see happen in our council meeting this March? I'll say the one thing that has come up is that we developed that guidance for subcommittees, and that needs to be a form, like the council needs to look at that um, and adopt that or not, right? You all as a steering committee said looks good, but council needs to sign off. So that's like one official thing we need to do. We also don't have subsequent council meetings on the calendar, and we could sort of, at least in principle, say what we want for the rest of the year, quarterly meetings or something like that. However, in terms of discussion, I'm not sure what else. So, Joey, Julie, any
I
thoughts?
mean, I welcome Secretary Moore's thoughts as well. Just one thought would be there have been some fairly significant changes since we last met, including the Trump administration's revocation of the endangerment finding and what that means, what that was, what it is, what that means for our work. And I,
So, yeah, it's more so that, and that's sort of like taking stock of how the external environment has changed.
yeah,
Um, and you would do that, like, where would that conversation go? Like, what would
I
be
just think
the,
like keeping ourselves abreast of shifting dynamics that have significant implications for our work might be helpful. I mean,
okay.
you asked for ideas, and it feels
Yeah.
like that's I'm certainly open to other things to make good use of people's time, but to give us all of it like a shared baseline
Hmm.
ongoing seems helpful.
Cool. Okay. So some kind of like taking stock of what's changing around us and how that changes our work. And who do you think would be a good person to help do that if we're going to have somebody present on that?
I think Rachel Stevens of our team has put a presentation together for leadership at the agency. And while not all of that content is probably appropriate for the Climate Council, I'm sure we could come up with a version of it that is.
Great. So could adapt Rachel's presentation for the purposes of the council.
Yep.
And I would maybe ask Dr. Leslie Ann, if whether, she or others that she would recommend in terms of her scientific background. But Rachel
Cool.
seems great.
Okay. Yeah, we can
I
reach out to
guess,
everyone.
Joey, I'd be helped there. What would you have Leslie Ann speak about the endangerment finding?
Well, just
Like,
she's, all of her work at the Vermont Climate Assessment, just recommendations for an expert to speak to it. If, Mhm.
okay. I mean, I think we've got that covered, but if you'd like to hear from somebody outside the agency, I'm also happy to defer to whoever you would suggest there.
I just, my was just asking her if she have other ideas. I'm sure Rachel would be great. I'm just was looking for
Hmm.
potential other contexts, but I
Well,
don't
one
know.
thing we could do is reach out to Leslie Ann and just give her a heads up what we're doing and see if she'd like to either prepare something or just react to,
Yeah.
what she's hearing. Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. So an update on the external environment, and Rachel could help with the presentation. Others could chime in. We'll check in with Leslie Ann about what to do there. Um, all right, that sounds great. Anything else? Any other ideas folks want to put on the table? Again, this is not decisional so much as idea generation.
I think we can give an update on where things stand with the greenhouse gas reporting rule that was voted out of the House Energy and Digital Infrastructure Committee last week.
Great. Cool. Um, right. So there's updates on like very relevant local legislation that, you know, is coming out of the climate action plan. Okay, cool. I like that. Anything else that's occurring to people?
The other thing I'd wondered about, David, is the VEM completed their 2025 sort of report out update on the state hazard mitigation plan, and sort of to the same point of having a presentation on the endangerment finding. I do think it would be helpful for the council to remain abreast of what VEM's doing in that space.
Okay. Well, we can reach out and see if they'd be open to doing a little update for us about what's going on. Okay. So the theme here, it sounds like it's a theme of like updates, getting oriented, making sure everybody's up to speed. That feels like a good theme. And we can have right now we've got three parts to that theme. One is federally what's going on. Two is state legislation that's directly relevant to the climate action plan and what the status of that. And then three would be the state hazard mitigation updates and how that's changed and probably responding to federal realities too. Okay. Um, that's great. Anything else you'd like to do with the council or have the council do? All right. Well, that seems like a good meeting. To me, that sounds like an hour. If that sounds good, and we'll tighten up to an hour unless other ideas come in. Um, uh,
I mean, I don't know, Secretary Moore, how long Rachel's presentation would be, but maybe if it's three different buckets and then there's the actual work that we need to do, maybe a little more than an hour. I don't know, but I defer to you.
I kind of thought
Yeah, I
that
mean,
too, Joey. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
oh,
a little
go
more.
ahead, Jean.
I was just going to suggest I thought more than an hour or two with presentations, it'll feel cramped. And I was going to suggest that when we did the subcommittee guidance update, that something that might be a nice refresher is we have term limits for subcommittee members and counselors. And I just thought it might be nice for us to update folks because those will come into play at the end of this year and ahead of the next plan. So I just wanted people to be thinking about that.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right, so let's keep it at least an hour and a half. Let's see. How about this? Um, Another idea, we'll send a email out to other steering committee members and solicit ideas, and we'll um, Jane and Liz and I will pull together an agenda based on this. Um, and if folks are comfortable, that's what we'll do. If we feel like we need a proper steering committee member, a steering committee meeting prior to that, we're gonna have to somehow schedule that up. But if folks are feeling confident enough that Jane and Liz and I can put together a good agenda, then we'll just do that. Um, and folks can send individually to Liz ideas about what they'd like to see and in that agenda. Okay. Anything else on that? That seems like a good set of ideas. Okay. The other business we had was does require some like official quorum. Unless Joey, you just want to update us on what Chris Campany said in joining this
Yeah, I mean, just a
emergency.
reminder for everyone that with Liz Miller's resignation from the Climate Council and the steering committee, that there's an open seat on the steering committee and on the council, though that seat's been filled. Looking forward to meeting Jackie. But in terms of the steering committee, Chris Campany, who's appointed by the House to represent Vermont municipalities, served on the steering committee before and is willing to serve again.
Great.
Unable to attend today's meeting, and I'm not 100% clear about the process, but he's willing to participate and support steering committee.
Well, that's agenda item for our council meeting. Would be to
Great.
have the council sign off on that. And the legislatively appointed members of council sign up on that. Great. Okay. And there's some notes, and you see in the agenda, there's some folks who have joined various subcommittees, and you all have the official like final sign off. We can do that another time. It's not urgent that you all sign off on that. That's folks can get going even if you haven't done that, I assume. And we can't sign off on last month's notes. Or minutes, we'll let those be until a subsequent meeting. Speaking of subsequent meeting, Liz Amler, do we have a subsequent meeting of ours on the books for the steering committee?
I have to check. 1 second.
I don't
No,
see.
I'm not seeing it. So yeah, we need to schedule out the steering committee too, in addition to the council.
Okay. Well, how about like roughly a month from now? Unless folks want to meet sooner because we didn't get this to work.
Without the subcommittees meeting right now, I'm not sure that there's a particular sense of urgency.
Right.
So I think waiting a month is probably fine.
Okay. Great. Well, that'll probably bring us out to, either March 30th or April 6th or April 13th, something like that, if we keep this kind of time slot. Okay.
Yeah, I'll schedule that.
So, uh, we don't properly have a quorum. However, if you've been joining our call today and you'd like to make a comment, you're welcome to. It's just a little bit of a different thing here because we don't have a proper quorum going on. But I will say, if you'd like to say something, you're welcome to. Jackie.
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jackie Pratt. I am now representing the distribution utilities on the Climate Council, and I saw the invitation for this and figured I'd hop in and start trying to understand what everybody's working on. So I know it probably wasn't the best example of a steering committee meeting, but thank you for
Yeah.
letting me tune in anyway, and just wanted to introduce myself.
Thanks, Jackie. I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're joining us on this journey now. So thanks for coming in. and introducing yourself. Indeed, it's a little bit of a funky meeting today without a quorum, a little unusual.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks.
Um, Super. Um, Anybody else before we finish up today? Okay. Joey, Julie, anything else? Liz, Jane, all good? Okay. Well, thanks for joining this morning. We actually got some great ideas on the table, and that's going to allow us to put together an agenda. We'll circulate that around, um, and um, and we'll see everybody in 2 weeks at the council meeting. I look forward to it.
Thanks, David.
All right.
Thank
Take care,
you.
everyone.
Have a good
Be
day.
well. Yeah.